My sister Kawasi and the gentleman on the show, it's my pleasure to welcome you again to our show, Diaspora Life Show. And today we're going to talk about the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the 46th president of the U.S. and vice president. And today we're going to do more reflection than serious stuff, because to be honest with you, I'm still reeling from the effects of what happened.
Okay, we were comparing the emotional difference between Obama's election and Biden's election, because we thought that both of them elicited such strong emotions. One of the most powerful emotions during Obama's time was that a relief that we might possibly now be safe as far as Black lives go. And now that we have someone in the White House, there will be more respect for Black people. The system of having young Black people in jails is going to be less, and there's going to be less harassment in the streets. Of course, that didn't pan out to be true. And the biggest success symbolically of Obama's presidency was simply having gotten to that ladder, to that level of leadership for Black people. Then come Biden, and the relief was not so much that we are not going to have any more of the harassment, of the lack of respect, of the indignifying of Black people. The relief was that now that bleed is going to somehow stop, having been exploded during Trump's time. So it just got so bad that we just thought, oh, this time around, maybe Black people will be listened to. And we were saying the same over 80% Black vote has voted for Democrats. And we're hoping this time around, as Biden says, that he has heard them, that the Democrats have heard the voice of Black people. And this has been a long journey, way past 400 years. After 400 years, you go into Reconstruction. After Reconstruction, you go into civil rights, fight for civil rights. You go into a prison, fight for Black lives. And now we are here. It's a continuous fight. Then you've just talked about a personal story. Oh, I think a lot of us have that. Either our brothers, our husbands, our friends, our sons, we know that fact of what it means to be a Black person. And I remember being asked what Kenyans' place is in this election. And I still believe that one of the most different things for Kenyans in the US, this particular election, is that now more than ever before, we are aware of ourselves as Black people. That was not the case 20 years ago when we were fighting for dual citizenship, because we were so aware of ourselves as Kenyans in a foreign land who wanted to play that role of being transnational citizens. Now we are really aware of ourselves as Black people and our place in this country as Black people. How are we going to be best suited in being the citizens of this place as Black people?
Awesome. Thanks, Sister Mkawasi. Brother Osiro from Orlando, we gave you the president from Delaware. You've given us the vice president. Me and David Amakobe, we are still going through the emotions. How are you feeling, brother, from the sunshine? No, California is not sunshine. I mean, that's
Golden
State. Yeah.
Kwasi has completely hit the nail on the head. And I want to say, Chris, thank you very much for the opportunity and to spend another weekend with this great panel. I mean, I have to echo what Ms. Hall eloquently put and emotionally put out there that all of a sudden our humanity as Black people, as Africans, has been recognized, and that's a relief, And you look at Miss Harris, and you look at her story, and you juxtapose that story with that of Barack Obama. Two people coming from societies that really don't take too kindly to either their tribe or to their gender. India is the agenda, or Barack Obama is his father's tribe, and all of a sudden they have risen to the pinnacle of global power, and that is moving, and they've done it because of a combination of like-minded people, powered by, really, let's just be blunt about it, powered by women, Black women. Stacey Abrams, basically, overcoming Georgia gubernatorial election that was rigged, and taking that pain of being rigged out of the governorship in Georgia, and mobilizing Georgians to turn out in numbers that basically flipped a previously red state to a blue state. That is the power of conviction. That is the power of people who, believe in themselves and believe in the contributions that they have to the society. And, it's emotional, but it's also very, finally, I can breathe. I can just, there's a certain level of I can exhale and say, you know what, we have finally being seen. We have shown the impact we can have in, whether it's in Michigan, Detroit, whether it's in Atlanta, whether it's in Milwaukee. These are all predominantly Black communities where Blacks turned out in numbers that flipped states that went for Donald Trump in 2016 to Joe Biden in 2020. That, yes, I feel relieved, but I also know that there were 70 million of our fellow citizens, our neighbors, our friends, and colleagues who looked back at the last 4 years and said, you know what, we want more of that. and I'm like, wow. So yes, I'm happy that we flipped the script from 2016 this time with Joe Biden and Ms. Harris. But I'm also very cognizant of the fact that there's an undercurrent of people who do not think that we belong, and that is scary. But I'm also hopeful. So I don't know. It's a mouthful, but
no, that's perfect. And in fact, we'll come to that. But before, I'm tempted to go to David, because David was also at the waterfront in Wilmington. But let's break these emotions, and let's bring in a sober guy, a guy who deals with facts and history. That is Professor Monda from New York City. Professor, we talked about this some time back, about the capacity for America, more than any other country in the world, to regenerate and correct its mistakes. Could you please just speak to that?
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point. And I'm happy that Biden won. I'm not as idealistic as Osiro and Mkawasi. I'm very, I'm optimistic with a healthy dose of skepticism. And I'll say that in this way. Let's not forget, like Osiro had alluded to, half of this country, or almost half of a country, voted against Joe Biden. That's a big number. So Joe Biden really needs to be in the business of calming down his supporters and making because there's half of the country right now is very, very angry. very angry, particularly with the seeds of illegitimacy that Trump has planted into this election. Let us not forget that even going forward, Trump is still the de facto leader of the Republicans, and he doesn't look like he'll concede. So Joe Biden has a big job to try and bring the country together. I think secondly, let's also not forget that the Republicans gained seats in the House of Representatives. So that's something that Trump can claim credit for. And it seems that the Republicans are not going to lose the Senate. It's up for grabs, but it seems like they'll retain their control. So that goes back down to Biden's leadership. How will he use the 50 years, the half century of experience he has in the Senate to bring Republicans like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham on board to do some of the things we as immigrants want them to do? One of the big ones for us, obviously, is immigration reform. He cannot get it done with half of the country against him. The other element is Republicans cannot, apart from the fact that they gain seats in the House, they also maintained all their Senate seats, their dual Senate seats, the ones that they didn't lose. They kept both of, in all the states, they kept them as Republicans, meaning both senators were Republicans, apart from Maine. And Maine is where it was split. So Susan Collins, the Republican, but the other seat fell to the Democrats. So by and large, I mean, Republicans have something to celebrate on. But I think Biden needs to be very careful that he brings everyone on board and he moves everyone forward so that Democrats don't just assume now they can push the other side around and be disrespectful. And the last thing I need to mention is Trump got, surprisingly, more Latinos and more African-American votes than any other Republican candidate in the history of the modern day Republican Party. That says something. And that means that there's a lot of people that support Trump that are either they're closet Trump supporters, or because in this liberal world, this politically correct world of ours, people just are not really allowed the space to speak their mind. A lot of times when people want to talk about religion, about their opposition to LGBTQ rights movement, about their concern around jobs, right? They can't get work and people are talking about global warming. When people can't bring those issues to the table and openly talk about it, they're shut down. When they say, I don't support gay marriage, they're called old-fashioned bigots. You know, there's a part of America, a large part of this country where people are really, really, really hurting and really frustrated, not only around social wars, but also around economic issues. People are really struggling. So I think by and large, I really feel Biden needs to celebrate. Yes, Biden supporters can celebrate, but we really need to get to a place where Biden now comes down with an agenda and says, I need to work with Republicans. I need you guys to be successful because we need to move together.
Thanks, Professor. Dr. Makobe, my neighbor in the first state, Delaware, we are the newsmakers now, you know. For a long time, Kenyans kept on asking me, Delaware, where's Delaware?
Now they know.
A real place.
Now I don't have to struggle to explain. And let's not let Professor Monda's reality dampen our celebration spirit. For now, we are celebrating, bro. Speak to, and of course, I know you're heavily involved in the Democratic Party, especially politics in Delaware. Speak to how you felt yesterday.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Sister Mukasi, for coming. I haven't been on the show with you for a long time. I appreciate you. Thank you, Washington, and thank you, Dr. Monda. I actually feel where Dr. Monda is coming from. He's looking at it rationally and saying, these were the numbers. That's fine, but I think emotionally, I'll say, for example, today I took a walk around Middletown. I noticed for the first time I noticed Middletown, I could walk and see that I am actually walking freely. For the last 4 years, I have had tension walking around, but today I didn't. It doesn't mean that when I meet somebody else, I'll poke them in the eye, but it just means that I feel I belong more. So as the other side feels logical, they feel economics, but my side, I feel my safety. I worry about where my boys are. I worry whether the police will stop them, and out of nowhere, I will just have to receive a call that something happened. So it's two very different perspectives where I feel is more people versus profits. You understand? So me, the way I felt yesterday when I saw Biden, when I saw Harris being accepting with humility the position that the 74 million Americans have bestowed on them, I did not think now I am going to meet the Trump people and tell them you lost it. Because for sure, I know where the Obama administration was hampered. Because first of all, he didn't stop being black when he became president. He continued the balancing act that we all go through, even when he was in that office. So this particular time, I have Biden who doesn't have that burden. You understand? He doesn't need to balance being black, and so that he can, when the policeman arrests that professor in Boston, instead of standing firm and saying, hey, you are wrong, this guy was in his house and he had done for himself, he has to invite him for a beer party in White House. Biden won't do that. You understand? You understand that Biden will not try to form or have the dreamers, but then go hard on the other immigrants to try to show that, look, I am enforcing the law here, so please let me do this, and then of course they let him down. You understand? He doesn't have that burden.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. So in as much as we know that when you lose an election, you are hurting, but when the Democratic coalition loses an election, some of them, it's on their life. You understand? The majority of them is that I know that there are single issue voters from the minority side voting with the other side because they are saying the economy is good. My 401k is doing well, so I'll vote there. That's okay. But I know, I was talking to one of them. I told them, you are doing that, you are doing single voter because your boys haven't grown. You haven't let your boy out of the house so that you sit and worry. I don't care how much money my 401k is worth. If I am sitting in my house worrying, every time my phone call goes off, I am worried to pick up because I don't know, I'm just observing, where are you at? Where are you at? You understand? So basically what I'm hoping for in this one, after Obama, it was a shock to the majority white people. They thought that they have to go hard so this thing doesn't happen again. You understand? Although we were celebrating that we have reached a certain level, but on the opposition, they were like, we must do something to make sure this thing doesn't happen again. So that's why the situation worsened with Trump.
That's right. That's
okay?
Right.
But now, everybody, it's like a season like this, we will have to go like that until sometimes it evens out.
Yeah.
So in this particular case with Biden-Harris, I know that we have come a little further. We also know that our expectations cannot be that high, but at least even the other side know that they have to accommodate us, because we are actually talking from very different perspectives. These ones are talking about money and profits and jobs, and me, I'm worrying about, I know I'm a doctor, but you know, nobody cares when they stop me whether I'm a doctor or not. You understand?
That's right.
So nobody cares whether I'm a professor or not. They just see a black guy, and every time they stop me, I have to keep my hands open on the side. What we are thinking as we go through this iteration is that we will become just people like any other.
Yeah.
And that nobody will fear me or fear our kids and our boys, and they will be taken like, we are not saying they will be good, all of them will be good, but we're saying they will be taken like any other human being and be judged on their character. And that when the parents like Ms. Mukwasi is sitting at home, or Chris is sitting at home, and the children, I saw Professor Cyril with this boy, when the boy goes out on a bicycle by himself, he will not worry that some guy will just out of nowhere think that he's a threat, and that the person in authority will treat him fairly, not because, just because he's a human being and not because he's black or white. So I think that is what I'm thinking, that this, I haven't seen any Biden-Harris people who are going out on the street celebrating and thinking that they're going to beat down people who are mourning. We know it, we've gone through it in 2016, but we are thinking that they should be able to appreciate us.
That's right. Thanks, Dr. Makobe. But let me come back to you, Sister Mukawasi, and specifically because you walk the corridors that the Vice President walked at Howard University. You stand in front of the classroom that she studied in.
Hope I do.
Yeah, that's a privilege that not many of us have.
Right.
But beyond that, it's been said that these elections were and have been about the black women. Apparently, even the president-elect also appreciated that and mentioned that. My question to you is, have we reached our canon? And are things going to look better for the black community, given that history now shows that the black community has always saved America at the hour of need?
Right. I think we have to demand that they do, because things can very well just go back to normal. Because America's history of racism is long. And to shift anything requires effort. Power does not proceed without a struggle. There's something important that Professor Makobe said, that if we do not ask for what we want ourselves, it is not going to come to us. We have to go with the agenda. So here we have Kamala Harris, who is now in this position. That doesn't mean that the glass ceiling has shattered so much that that every woman is now free to fly through that ceiling. It's just cracked, and making it free so that all women can fly through it will mean that there's going to be a lot of climbing for people to do and demanding that to get up there.
Brother Osiro,
Yes.
Just picking up from what Mkawasa has said, when Barack Obama was elected, the first black president in the US, many people talked about the post-racial America. We've experienced the backlash in the last 4 years. Right now, the end thing is Black Lives Matter. As a historian and as an author, how do you see the next 4 years unfolding out?
I really believe that, and I think the data from the just concluded elections are going to bear that out, that most of the youth, that is the 18 to 29s, voted overwhelmingly for the Biden-Harris ticket. I want to use my son. He turns 18 in next April. I want to use him and his friends as an example of the awakening of a critical mass of American voters who are going to change the political discourse in this country for the next generation. And I think that reality is what makes the Republicans that is predominantly a much older party. That is what makes them very scared, because they are seeing the shifting demographics of the country, the browning of America, and they're very scared. So I believe that yes, there was this discussion about a post-racial America when Obama came into office, and I think one of the panelists has articulated that shocked white American, and the whitelash, as I think Van Jones called it, the backlash was that they voted for somebody who was antithetical to everything that Obama was. But now I think we are kind of getting back to the left of center America, and that is being powered by a very diverse coalition of non-white voters. And I think the tipping points, like I said, is going to be a combination of my son's generation. It's going to be a tipping point of the Stacey Abrams motivated and inspired, frankly, Black women, because we know that white women voted, a majority of white women voted for Trump again. So I think over the next decade, 2 decades, over the next generation, you're going to see really the browning of America shape the country's political landscape. And for me, that's a good thing, because that is where we want to be. But for Trump's base, and I'm sorry, but I think it's the point where we've got to face up to the reality that some of them don't see the humanity in us.
Guys, thank you very much for your contribution. This show is very rich with you, and let's convene again next week. These issues never end. Viewers, my name is Chris Omala, and I have the privilege of hosting this great minds from the diaspora. Join us again next week as we continue with our discussions on issues that affect the diaspora, and even just Kenyans back at home, compatriots at home. See you again next week.